Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Byjus Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to the Hindu analysis of 14th May 2024. Now, before I start the analysis for the day, a very important announcement. From tomorrow, we are going to do a special series that is Target Prelims 2024. Every evening at 7 p.m. for the next 1.5 hours, we shall be having a free crash course on the same channel, that is Byjus IAS YouTube, and we would be doing a revision of entire 12 months, I would say, subjects with regards to your current affairs, and this would be done through the MCQs. So for every subject, through MCQs in a class, around 25 questions would be discussed every day from 7 p.m. in the evening, and through this we would be covering your entire, I would say, course of the last year. The whole idea is that by 15th May, more or less, the question paper would have been set. So this gives us a good opportunity for every teacher to think what all are the most important topics of the last year. So for example, in polity, what all would be the most important topics would be taught by Anubhav sir. And similarly, for example, in history, there would be me, Soumya ma'am. In science and tech, there would be Rashesh sir and such. There would be so many faculties who would be taking your all the lectures for the next almost 30 days every day. Before the there would be a 1.5 hours, very concise and very precise lectures that should help you in your prelims preparation. Okay, let's move ahead and let's see what are the topics for the day. The first one is Stabilizing India-Nepal ties in changing times. Now, there are changes in Nepal, political changes, and what are the implications of those changes as far as India is concerned. That will be discussed over here. Second, India-Iran signed Chabahar Port Operation Pact. Now, this is a very old topic, a recent addition. A new addition has come yesterday, and that is something that we shall be studying here. Number third, UN-linked body defers accreditation of NHRC-India. Now, I would call it a setback because it's happening continuously. Last year also it happened. And what are the implications? We shall see over here. Fourth, India's population data and a tale of projections and predictions. If you all remember, yesterday we already talked 3 articles on this. And today we are going to take up another article which is showing the different studies, how their projections vary as far as India's population, specifically 2050 till 2100, that is 2100. That is, in this 50 years, the projections of different studies totally vary with regards to India's population. That would be studied over there. Fifth, the impact of 50 years of vaccination on children worldwide. A very positive implication, I would say. How this vaccination in different areas as far as the children are concerned has helped them and prevented a lot of unwanted deaths. That is something that we shall be discussing over here. Apart from these 5, there are 3 small prelim bites. Swedish PM expresses willingness to host nuclear weapons during wartime. Now, you all know they have joined NATO, and now they are saying something that was unheard, unthought, at least maybe a year or 2 ago, that Sweden, which was always considered to be more or less neutral, they would think about something like this. Second one, Semal trees are being wiped out in Rajasthan due to Udaipur's Holi. Now, this is unfortunate and not great news coming from Rajasthan, where these trees are being cut. And I have taken this topic, very lengthy topic, but I have picked up all those points which might be relevant for prelims. Last but not the least, Indonesia's Mount Ibu erupts again, spews huge ash tower. Whatever you have to study is there in this headline itself. Indonesia's Mount Ibu. You have to remember, where is Mount Ibu? Indonesia. So without wasting any time, let's start with the first topic. Now you can see here in page number 8, International Relations, Stabilizing India-Nepal ties in changing times. Number 1, the author is K.V. Rajan. He was India's former ambassador to Nepal. And another is Atul K. Thakur, a policy professional columnist and writer with special focus on South Asia, and he has published, both of them have published books both on Nepal only. And in fact, Kathmandu Chronicle, Reclaiming India-Nepal Relations. So basically they have written one book only jointly, and that's mentioned over here. Now, everyone, in this article I have not written anything. I want to explain this in my own way. What exactly is happening in Nepal? That is something that you have to understand, and then we will see what are the implications of that on India. And of course, when it comes to India-Nepal relations, there is always a third party, in this case China, and wherever there would be India, there would be an irritant, that would be Pakistan. So we shall see what exactly all of them are doing here. Now, first of all, let's see Nepal. Now, I remember in February, March, when we were doing newspaper analysis, I had told you that in Nepal, a lot of political changes took place. What was this political change? Prime Minister, as you all know, as far as Nepal is concerned, the Maoist leader, Mr. Pushp Kamal Dahal, also known as Prachanda. What he did was, he dumped Nepali Congress, which was their allies, and replaced it with the leftist party of K.P. Sharma Oli. Now, clearly there is a political realignment as far as the Nepal politics is concerned. The Prime Minister has dumped his one partner and has gone with another one and formed the government over here. Now, why does it have any bearing on India? The fact is, Mr. Oli was formerly a Prime Minister of Nepal, and in those days he was always considered as pro-China and anti-India. So you can understand that Mr. Sharma's coming to power was hugely approved by Chinese. In fact, they were the first one to officially welcome them. One another thing is, both these parties which came to power now, they are leftist party. This Nepali Congress, on the other hand, was centrist party, and these two who have come to power now, they are leftist. Chinese, they are very happy with this change as far as Nepal is concerned, because you can see they think that the left government which has come to power, these two who have come to power, they would invariably ignore the interests of India. Now, can I say this, or can we say this, that they would definitely ignore? Signals are yes. What are those signals as far as ignoring us is concerned? Nepal's foreign minister, their first official foreign visit traditionally always was to New Delhi, but this time they went to, or he went to rather, to Beijing. Apart from this, they agreed that China's Belt and Road initiatives would be restarted. Now everybody knows that this Belt and Road initiatives, as far as Nepal, or as far as China is concerned, has burdened many countries. Don't go very far. Think about Sri Lanka. People even cautioned Nepal and this government that, like Sri Lanka, they might go into debt trap. Yet they have decided that they would go ahead with this. So you can see the first sign, the second sign, and the third sign is that high-level military visits have happened. And in these visits, clearly both the sides of government, they have agreed to have more cooperation with regards to military ties. Now you all know, when it comes to Nepal, China's policy has always been very, very clear. They want to expand their influence as far as Nepal is concerned. Because if Chinese influence gets expanded as far as Nepal is concerned, invariably it would hurt us. Now, another thing that is happening along with all of this is that you could see here a leftist realignment has happened. Along with this, there are some rightist demands also that are happening here. What is that? They are demanding that in Nepal bring back monarchy. Let me explain this in a second. And number two, they are demanding that Nepal's former Hindu identity should be restored. Now, for those who know and those who have studied it, you know that Nepal was the world's only Hindu kingdom. You can see with one word I have clarified both these points. One, it was a monarchy. That means it was a kingdom. And it was a Hindu kingdom that gave it its Hindu identity. Later, the parliament turned it into secular federal republic. Now, why suddenly this change in the character of Nepal? The reason for that was that in Nepal, the Maoist insurgency, which you all, if you know it, was being led by Mr. Prachanda, had come to an end. And the Maoists had decided that they will come into the mainline politics. They would come and join the democracy. Now, if you see here, whether it is leftist, whether it is rightist, they both have one identity, that they both are ultra nationalistic. They both are pro-China and they both are anti-India. So, whether it is the leftist or the rightist bloc, they have always had these peculiarities which you could see in front of you. Now, this much is one part of this particular editorial that has come today. Let me come to something with regards to India, and I'm taking a separate slide. I hope you all are understanding what is the internal thing that is happening in Nepal, the leftist, the rightist, and how in the past there has been some changes as far as the polity of Nepal is concerned. Now let us come to India. What are we worried, or what we are thinking right now? See, India is worried that the moment there would be so much of political instability, you all know, a lot of times, or most of the times, political instability also is accompanied with malgovernance. Moment these things would happen, it would lead to anti-India issues. That is, things would happen or would be done against us. And in this, there would be nexus that would get involved, or would be involving Pakistan. They would start, exporting terrorism, and they would also try to do a lot of terrorism. See, it's something that we all know. It's not something new that I'm talking about. In the past also, smuggling of drugs, of arms, terrorist-related cross-border activities, they all have taken place by Pakistan using the Nepal soil. And if you all remember, all of this culminated in December 1999 with the hijacking of the flight IC-814. Now, in the past few years, Nepal has proved to be a very good friend, and to some extent all these things have come down. Both the intelligence agencies, both of India as well as Nepal, they have worked closely and they have exposed Pak's involvement in this. So the problem that we feel is that if this political instability happens, malgovernance takes place, one, Pakistan's activities would definitely come up. Of course, if Pakistan's activities are going to come up, there is no doubt about that, that China also, which has always proactively worked against India, they would also encourage some cross-border terrorist activities, which in their category they would call as good terrorism. So, you can see, let me take this, that Pakistan and China, their nexus would try to bleed us. Now, of course, it's not that India is alone. According to this article, we all know India is a very valuable member of Quad. Quad, if those who do not know, US, Japan, Australia, as well as India. All of these would be keeping a close eyes on the activities of China. But then, at a time when Nepal would be shaky, if these activities happen, it's not going to go well for India. So everyone, in this I told you what are our apprehensions. Now, what have we done to solve these apprehensions? Have we done anything till now? We are very proactive, but then we have kept our cards very close to us and kept a low profile. Basically, the logic of keeping a low profile at this point of time is we do not want to create a meaningless controversy. That's why we have kept ourselves out of Nepal's internal affairs. Whatever is happening over there is their matter, and we are seeing it from outside. Of course, there are people who are giving us advice that we should, get ourselves involved in this. Involved in which all things? Basically, should they become a Hindu nation, or what about the restoration of monarchy? With all this, there are people who want that India should take a much more, proactive role. But then we have kept a low profile and observing all these things. And rather, our, I would say, involvement as far as Nepal is concerned is purely, if there is one word to define it, constructive. Our role is very, very constructive. Our role is transformative as far as Nepal is concerned. We are trying to change the things better for the Nepali people with regards to, if you see here, sectors like health, education, food and nutrition, child development, gender and jobs. So we are trying to push for all this, and if we are able to push here, clearly China's BRIs, Belt and Road Initiatives, perhaps would not be needed as far as this is concerned. So basically the authors are saying that the governments which will come in India next month, general elections are happening, and in the first week of June we would have the clarity who is going to form the next government. They are saying that New Delhi has its work cut out as far as Nepal is concerned. And the authors are very clear that of course there are complications as far as India's relation with Nepal is concerned, but then it is not a solution which cannot be solved. So it's not an insoluble migraine. Definitely we can solve it, and the way the things go in Nepal, you never know, tomorrow again the things would become very, very rosy for us, and it would be better. So basically this is the whole crux of this topic or this big editorial. Again, I am repeating everyone, because of general elections there are very few relevant topics that come in the newspaper, and this is one article which has come with regards to Indo-Nepal ties. So that's the thing. Now yesterday one more IR news came, and that news was basically India-Iran signed Chabahar port operation pact. Now again, it's a very, very old news with regards to Chabahar. But then yesterday, after 8 years, that is in 2016, I have written here, you can see here, first time a memorandum of understanding for the development of this port was signed in May 2015. The contract was executed next year, May 23, 2016, when our Honorable Prime Minister had visited Iran. So almost after 8 years, you can see today we are 14th of May, 8 years after this, both the countries have signed a 10-year contract. It's a trilateral, this is going to boost the trilateral trade between India, Iran, and of course, Afghanistan. And for this 10-year contract, as you can see, has been signed. The parties who have signed it are Indian Ports Global Limited and Port and Port and Maritime Organization, that is PMO of Iran. And through this contract now, both the sides will be enabling the operation of Shahid Beheshti terminal. We have along with this also offered a credit window which is equivalent to $250 million over here. As you can see here in this picture, you can see clearly the minister Sarabanda Sonowal. He is our minister. He has signed this thing, and he believes that this capacity will only further be enhanced. It shows our commitment as far as region's economic development is concerned, and with the development of this Chabahar, not only India, Iran, Afghanistan, but also the countries of Central Asia, they all would be greatly helped here. I have got a picture for you. Let me see here. Yes, you can see here from Mumbai how the Chabahar port is connected and how you can see this whole Central Asia would be connected. These are the ideas that we have. Please remember everyone, Chabahar, if you have this idea, it's a deep water port which is located in Sistan, Balochistan province of Iran. So it's here in Iran, and very, very important for our ambitions as far as Central Asia is concerned. Now please study Chabahar, please study India-Iran relations and keep it updated. Moving ahead, what do I call it? Setback. What is the setback basically? You can see here. in a setback for India's human rights record, the Geneva-based United Nations-linked Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions, that's called GANHRI, deferred accreditation of the National Human Rights Commission India for the second year in a row. At the very beginning I told you this is a setback. Why it is a setback? Because it's not for the first time it's happening. This is happening for the second time. Now how does it impact? This decision can affect India's ability to vote at the Human Rights Council and some UN General Assembly bodies. Now this is the impact of this particular decision. Now who all have taken this decision? Basically there is a subcommittee on accreditation. They had met on May 1st. Who are the members of this subcommittee? New Zealand, South Africa, Honduras and Greece. These are the four nations who were the members of this subcommittee, and they have decided that NHRC for the second time would not be given a place as far as this is concerned. Now, the latest report has not yet come. But then, if we go by the previous report, last year when they had rejected, they had cited a few reasons why they are rejecting India's candidature. If you see, previous report of recommending the deferral, they pointed out to number one, lack of transparency in appointing members to the NHRC. How the members, you can see the picture of NHRC chairman, Justice Arun Mishra. So, in the previous meetings, there was a lack of transparency with regards to how the members would be appointed in the NHRC. Number two, they had pointed out that police officers have been appointed to oversee human rights investigation. Number third, they said that there is a lack of gender and minority representation on the member panel. So because of these three reasons, last time they had pointed out that they are doing a deferral. Now, what we are seeing here, NHRC is saying that some of the demands that were made by this subcommittee is very, very tough to be undertaken, mainly because of the election process that is happening. You know, elections are going on, and NHRC is saying that, you know, this GANHRI, they want some structural changes and they want some suggestions to be incorporated. The problem is right now general elections are going on, and that's why it is not possible here. Earlier also in 2016, NHRC's A status was deferred, but it was restored in 17. So this is the first time in the history of our country that for 2 consecutive years, that is 2023 and 2024, India has been suspended from this. Now, please remember in this, a lot of civil society members, civil society organizations and human rights activists had written with regards to India's track record on human rights. Last thing, something that you should do on your own, please study about NHRC. This is something that you would do in your polity. You know, you have these topics of constitutional, statutory bodies and all. Please study something on your own. Do remember these 3 points why we have not been included this year. Please remember the representatives were from which all countries. And second time, for the first time, India has been suspended from this particular body. Now, moving to the fourth topic. Now, you all can see India's population data and a tale of projections and predictions. Now, I told you when I was doing the introduction of today's analysis that different committees, they are doing different projections with regards to our population. For example, Our present population is 1.35 billion dollars. 1.35 billion people we are. Now, one thing before I start this discussion, let me tell you, this article dated August 12, 2020. So this article was written around 4 years ago. So you can understand some data might be outdated. So at that moment, around 4 years ago, our population was this much. Now there is a Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. They are saying that our population could drop by 1.09 billion by the year 2100, or it could go down as less as 724 million. Now please understand, this is a committee which is Seattle based, and they had published this study in the journal The Lancet, very respectable journal. In that they had predicted this. Their prediction is that India's population would peak around the middle of this century, that is around 2050, it would peak, and then by 2100 our population can be 1.09 billion, or it could go down to as less as 724 million. So they are saying by that time Indian women, the TFR would be 1.29 children. Now you all know the TFR should be 2.1 if it has to be at a replaceable rate. But here they are saying that this would go down to such an extent that our population would be decreasing. Now, you can see, according to this study, they are saying in 2100, when India's fertility rate would be 1.29, for US it would be 1.53, for France it is 1.78. Now, many people, they have raised objections. They are saying that, do you think that Indian parents, they would be less committed as far as childbearing is concerned compared to the American or the French parents? Do you think that there would be a situation where our fertility rate would be to this number and US would be so high and France much higher compared to us? So many people are saying that this is not absolutely correct. Now, in this study only, they point out to another study done by UN. And UN projections are that again by 2050, India's population would go to 1.64 billion. So clearly you can see, till here, more or less they both are same. IHME says our population would be 1.61 billion by 2048. So you can clearly see till this point, whether it is UN or whether it is ICHME, they both say our population would go to around 1.6 billion. But then after that there is a variation, as you all could see. ICHME says that our population would go down to this, IHME, and it could go down to even 724. Whereas UN projections say that yes, it would go down, but would not go down to this much, but would rather be at around 1.45 billion. Now, clearly, you can see what I have written. One says 1.45, another says 1.09. So if I say it, clearly you all can see that there is a divergence. And you know, this is mainly because IHME is relying too much on data of NFHS survey, and they are focusing a lot on the potential contraceptive use. They are saying that this uses would go up, and because of all this, this numbers would go to that low. So in this, author clearly is saying that most probably they are not going to be that correct. Though the author says, see, the author is not denying that our levels would go down, fertility rate would go down. In fact, author says that if you look at the data of the fertility decline, there has been a sharp drop. In this article, it is mentioned in 1950s, India's TFR was around 6 children, and now this is around 2.2. So much of family planning was pushed. A lot of, during emergency, you must have studied, a lot of compulsory sterilizations had taken place. Then also this 1960, from 5.9 till 1980, our total fertility rate had come to 4.9. But after that, in 1992, it was 3.4, and in 2015, it has reached around 2.2. So you can clearly see that there is continuously a decline as far as the fertility rates are concerned. Again repeating, this is an older article, and at that moment they say 18 states and 2 UTs, they have already got a TFR below 2 at this point of time. So this is the thing. Please, if you have attended my yesterday's lecture, I have given you all these data, as recent data as possible in yesterday's lecture. You can go through that. So they are talking about all these numbers, and rest, I would say, again, if you have covered yesterday 3 topics we did, more or less it is the same thing, just this is something new which had happened. Rest everything was common which we have covered yesterday, so I'm not going to go further into this particular topic. The last topic for mains today, page 9, the impact of 50 years of vaccination on children worldwide. And again they have given 4 charts. If you look, chart number 1, chart number 2, chart 3, chart number 4. These are the 4 charts that they have mentioned. As you can see, they are mentioning that almost 150 million children have been saved due to vaccinations against different diseases. The maximum that they have been saved is because of measles vaccination, saving 60% life. This data is of the last 50 years. In the last 50 years, so many lives have been saved. Again, the findings coming in the Lancet. Apart from this, the measles vaccination rate has increased from less than 20% in 2000 to 70% by 2021. So these are certain numbers that have come, and beyond that you can see they have given you 4 charts. If I come to here, you can see I have separately also put it. Let me give you the findings of the 4 chart. Number 1 chart, you can see here. This shows the number of lives saved by vaccination from 1974 to 2024. So basically in the last 50 years, which diseases maximum lives have been saved. And you can see at the number 1, it is measles. As it's mentioned here also, maximum contribution is because of the measles vaccination. At number 2, they have mentioned tetanus. At number 3, pertussis. 4th, tuberculosis. 5th, HIV. 6th, pneumonia. 7th, polio. You don't have to remember all, but at least the first 3. You should remember measles, tetanus and pertussis. So that's your first chart that is talking about which diseases have, been averted because of the successful vaccination. Number 2 is showing the chart that region-wise share of children fully vaccinated against measles, because measles is at the number 1. And you can see here these areas are Western Pacific, Europe, Eastern Mediterranean, Southeast Asia, Africa, and of course they have given the figure for the whole world. Everyone, if I use the black pen, you can see here this is for the world. This, I hope, is clearly visible, is for the world. Clearly, one thing you can see here is that the chart for Africa is way below the average of the world. That's one unfortunate aspect. So if you see here, if I have to draw chart number 2 region wise, and again it is with regards to measles, what we see is Africa performance, I would term it as disaster. Of course, there are reasons for that. There are poor nations, backward nations, all that. But then, comparing to the world, it is really poor. Who is at the peak? See here. At the top, you have Western Pacific countries. So clearly, Western Pacific has seen the most dramatic usage of these vaccinations, from almost 2% in 2000. 91% in 2021. Similarly, another area which has shown a great improvement is, and let me take a red pen, it's Southeast Asia. You can see here, it was laggards and suddenly it has risen and it is now above the, I would say, world figures. So again, if I give you here the numbers for Southeast Asia, 15% in 2010 to 80% in 2021. So they have also shown a great improvement over here. Now let me take this in the next slide. Let us come to the third and fourth graph. Graph third. Share of 1-year-old children vaccinated against DTP3. Now, everyone, what is this? This is basically diphtheria, tetanus and pertussis. So here if you see, again Western Pacific, Southeast Asia, Africa, America, world, Eastern Mediterranean and Europe. And if you look here, sorry, this would not be visible. In 2021, more than 80% of the infants, they had received the third dose of DTP3 vaccine. And again, here also the areas like Western Pacific have shown a great numbers. Eastern Mediterranean is not that great when it comes to this. Again, Southeast Asia, you can see here it's reddish and it's slightly above the world, slightly only above this thing. So here also a lot of work has been happening. And the fourth and the last one, it shows the estimated number of deaths caused by various vaccine diseases across the years. The good thing is every place it has gone down. Everyone, if you look at this chart, and I'll change the pen color, see here, it's gone down, gone down, gone down, has gone down, has come down, tetanus has come down, measles great, whooping cough gone down. One place where there is a problem is cervical cancer. So you can see here that this is one place where the numbers are not that great. So please remember, cervical cancer still, the numbers are not something which is under control. It should come down, rather it has gone up. And that's why overall there should be a universal vaccine coverage, which of course requires a lot of investments and requires lots of coordination as far as the world powers are concerned. But that's something that can be kept in mind. Let's move towards the prelims topic. Not that important, but you all know, please, many times in the month of February we have studied about NATO. Sweden has joined and Sweden's parliament is set to vote on a defense cooperation agreement. This is with USA, and under this USA can use the military bases in Sweden. Along with that, they can keep their military equipments and they can keep their weapons in Scandinavian country. So very, very important. So remember, Sweden had joined NATO in the month of March. Almost for 2 centuries they had practiced non-alignment, but the attack of Ukraine by Russia had a totally reverse thing that happened. More countries have joined NATO, and under this, let's see what Sweden decides, but more or less I feel that they would say yes to it, and most probably America would be allowed to keep their, have their military bodies in this place, or military bases over here. Sweden's Prime Minister is saying that right now it's a wartime, and that's why there is a broad consensus as far as the nuclear weapons are concerned. We are ready to host the nuclear weapons when there is a wartime situation. That's the one-liner here. A very big article, you can see, very, very big article. Read it on your own. But the crux of this is that there is a tree. You all can see this particular tree, Semal trees. What is happening is during the Holi, in order to celebrate the Holika Dahan, these trees are being cut. Depending on the size of the tree, the people get hardly 500 to 1500 rupees per tree. And this cutting violates the Rajasthan Forest Act 53 and Forest Conservation Act 1980. But the thing is, during Holika Dahan, this tree known as silk cotton tree, Bombax Siba L, and in local language is known as Semal, they are being cut. Now, it's been known as a one tree wildlife sanctuary, and yet they are being cut. Now, why are they known as a one tree wildlife sanctuary? Please understand, this tree is a very, very useful tree. It is something that holds the entire forest ecosystem together. They, what do you call, different animals like Posupine, Hanuman langurs. Similarly, many types of species feast on this tree for its nectar, and that's why it is known as one tree, this thing, wildlife sanctuary. Apart from this, there were 2 tribes, their names were mentioned in this. One is Garasia tribe. They believe that they have descended from Semal trees. Please remember this tribe's name for prelims and remember what do they believe. Apart from that, members of the Kathodi tribe, they use its wood to craft musical instruments, while those of the Bhil, they use this trees to make utensils. Read this article on your own. Very lengthy article, but trust me, if prelims the questions have to come, this should come from these 4 lines only. If you think there is anything else in your view which can come in pre, please comment in the comment box and inform me. We'll look into that, and we'll definitely will help every student in those who are listening to this particular lecture. Last, very small, page 16, Indonesia's Mount Ibu erupts again, spews huge ash star. You can see, only thing you have to remember, in eastern Indonesia, a volcano has erupted. Mount Ibu is in Indonesia. It's an active volcano, and it has erupted 21,000 times last year. Again, I'm saying you don't have to remember anything except for the fact that Ibu is nowhere else but in Indonesia. Remember this much. That's the most important point. If you remember this, it's more or less done. That's all from today's lecture. What are the questions that we have made for you today? In your opinion, population of a country is boon or bane? Comment. You can, comment on this in 150 words, 10 marker. Another, in the context of recent internal developments in Nepal, India-Nepal relations need a reset. 20 marks, 250 words. Think about this. Write the answer on this. And that's all from this lecture. If you like the initiative, do like, subscribe, comment, and how do you think about new initiatives that we are going to begin from tomorrow? The prelims crash course, do mention about this. Lots of you have demanded and we have brought it for you. So please subscribe to that also. Please ensure you are attending the lectures, all for your benefit. That's all from today's lecture. Goodbye. Thank you.